Hello everyone, welcome to our webinar today. This is Tableau Paint by Numbers. We're going to be talking about giving level KPIs. My name is Glenn Kendall with Concourse Hosting. Also with me today is Holly Kendall.
Hi everybody.
If you are new to GoToWebinar, you see this big control panel that's popped up on your right-hand side. What you'll want to do is pop out the section there on questions. So you can go ahead and just make that part of the control panel pop out, and then you can hit the orange or red button to minimize the rest of the control panel because you're going to want to see what it is that we're doing here. So before we get started, just as a practice, why don't you go ahead and pop that out, and then a question I have for all of you that you can type your answer in is how much experience do you have with Tableau? Anywhere from what is Tableau to some experience to advanced, whatever. Let us know how much experience you have with Tableau. So this is what we're going to be covering today. We're going to be going over what I call pyramids for different giving levels. And we're going to make a couple of different workbooks. One of them is going to be, well, a couple of different worksheets actually. One I call the maximum data. So we're just going to put a lot of different information in one worksheet. And then as a second thing that we're going to build, we're going to make it more of an interactive dashboard that you can give executives and that sort of thing. Okay. Today we're using Tableau 10.2. Tableau 10.3 came out recently. We haven't upgraded our environment yet to Tableau 10.3. We're doing a little more testing on that, but we're planning on doing that the first part of July. So those of you that have Tableau with us, look for that coming soon. So in Tableau, the first thing you do when you fire it up here is it's going to want to connect to some data. What I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to Tableau server. And so this is our Tableau server site where I've already published a data source in there that we're going to use. I'm using just sample data from Razor's Edge. We've also put some additional test data in there as well. Let me scroll down to the GIFs data source. So we've made some new data sources that we call RE query data sources. And the idea behind these is that if you are used to using Razor's Edge and have queries already built, these data sources mimic how RE query works. So it's the same fields that you have in RE query. So the idea is you can take queries that you have already built in Razor's Edge and recreate them here in Tableau. So this is one of the features of our service. If you don't have Tableau with us, that's fine. Looks like there's a lot of stuff happening over here. We're only going to be using a few fields in today's webinar. We're going to be using gift amount, gift type. We're also going to be using the gift ID and then gift date. Okay. So if you were to do an export and just grab those things out of your data source, then that's all that you really need to work with. So the first thing is giving level. So this is a calculated field that we've created. We've actually associated it with this data source in Tableau. So this, again, if you have Tableau with us, this data source has been published to your site, and you will see this already added in there. So this is a calculated field. Because it's part of the data source, I can't modify what's there, but I can edit a copy of it. So I'm just going to do that now just so you can see what it's made up of. So this is a dimension, which means it's basically like a category. It's a way to slice up the data. So as you can see, all that we're doing here is we're just saying we're making, these different giving pyramids. So if they gave less than $10, if the gift amount was less than $10, then we're going to say that was an up to $10 gift. And it's just a bunch of other else if they gave more than 10 but less than 100, it's 10 to 100, and we just go in increments of 10. That's the pyramid, right? So we're just going to go in 10 times all the way up till we get to 1,000,000. So those are different giving levels. You can, of course, customize your own giving levels if you want. If you don't want to go in the 10 pyramids, you can do, up to 250 or, whatever. I'm going to hit the back arrow here to undo that copy because I don't need an extra one. Okay, so for the first thing that we're going to do, we're just going to look at our different giving levels and then see how much was given at these different giving levels. So I'm going to pull that over to my rows, and you can see immediately it's broken things down like that. Next thing I'm going to do is pull in the gift amount. Now this is another calculated field here that we've created, and I'm also going to do the edit copy here just so you can see what it consists of. So this is what's called a level of detail. So I don't want to go into a lot of explanation about what a level of detail is, but if you have if you're trying to do things that have subcategories in them and sum those all together, you need to use this level of detail feature in Tableau. If you don't do it, then your totals aren't going to be right. So we've created this calculated field, which is just gift amount level of detail. And so when you're doing any summing of gift amounts, you'll want to use the level of detail rather than just the straight up gift amount. Again, if you don't have Tableau with us, you can just create a calculated field that looks like this, and then you'll be able to do the same thing. Okay, so it also made a copy here. So I'm going to hit back just to get rid of that. Now I'm going to drag my gift amount up here. And so now you can see, okay, here's my different giving levels, and here's the amount that was given for these different giving levels. Pretty straightforward. I'm going to increase the size here so it's a little easier to see. Let's go maybe 14 point. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is pull the gift date over. And immediately it does year, but I can hit this button here and it just will keep collapsing down, drilling down to different levels. So I'm going to actually get rid of the year part and just do quarters, because that's what we're talking about doing, is just having different quarters, looking at it as quarters. And then what I can do is also add a filter for my gift date. So I'm going to pull that over here to say I'm just going to look at, say, the last 4 quarters. Again, because this is test data, we don't have all the different giving levels represented, but this just gives you a sense of how that works. And then, of course, anytime you're doing any kind of looking at totals of gifts, you always want to pull gift type over. So this way you can filter on which gifts we're actually talking about here, and then remove things so you're not double counting. So for example, I might want to remove pledges. So matching pledges, something like that. Because everyone's, you want to make sure that you know exactly what it is that you're counting. You just want to make sure that you include that as an option for gift type there. Okay, anyone have any questions so far? This is pretty straightforward to get this set up. So the next thing we can do then is start to look at some more information, such as maybe an average gift amount. Actually, let's do this part first. So I'm going to pull up. So what I can do is I can actually probably be easier to do it this way. So I can create a calculated field. And I can just call this average gift. And then Tableau has a calculation, a formula for calculating the average. So very similar to Excel, right? So I make one called average gift. And then I can make another one called median gift. And I'll put median in here. So median is one that is a little interesting. If your data has to be in the form of an extract in order for the median to work, if you're connecting to a live data source, it can't easily calculate the median. So that's not going to work or not going to be an option that's available to you. And so a median gift is I think it's important to look at as well as the average gift, because average gift can skew things, whereas the median gift is more representative of what a typical gift might be. So let's pull this over here. Okay, so what we're looking at here for our KPIs, again, broken down by quarter for these different giving levels. So here's the total amount given for each of the quarters, and then the median gift, and then the average gift. And something else we can do up here is we can look at the total. So we can show the column grand totals as well as the subtotals in each area. So you can see if we look at the grand total here down at the bottom, our median gift is 100. So that's more representative of what sort of the average person was giving, whereas the average gift is much higher because it's skewed by these major gifts that have come in. So, and especially when you look at different giving levels, that's where the median gift, I think, is a better, value to look at, a better KPI to look at than average gift. But you can just put both in as well. That might be interesting to just be able to compare both of those just to see both the median and the average. Okay. Then one more thing that we can throw in here is to look at, say, what percentage of the total do each of these represent of all these giving levels. So to do that, I can just drag up my gift amount again. So I'm just really duplicating it. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just convert this one. So there's a table calculation that you can create, and that will do this for you automatically. So you can just say percent of total, and I can just replace that with my total gift amount. So this is the percent of the total that this represents. So you can see here in my sample data that my major gifts represent 68% of my total, and then the next level down is 26%, and so on. So this could be really useful to you to determine, what percentage of your total revenue is coming from different giving levels, right? Any questions about any of this? Some quick formatting that we can do on here. We can look at, if you notice, just it does some row banding automatically where it's putting in, alternate gray and white. So we can alter that row banding if we want to change the color, maybe make these blue, make the header blue. And then for the grand total, we can make it, maybe green. So you can do simple things like that to play around with the formatting. You know, we could also change the name of these up here so it's easier to, you know, to see those names, or make it something that, you know, fits in the space better. And, you know, we just happen to be looking at quarter here, but you can, of course, just hit this plus, and you can break it down even more to whatever levels that you want to. And just make a really big, cool spreadsheet that does all those different things. So this might be too much information to give to some people in your organization, and one of the cool things about Tableau is that you can make something that's, you know, mixes it up, have some visual elements in there, make it a little more interactive. So we're going to experiment with that. So the first thing that we're going to do is make a simple bar graph. So we're going to, again, start with the gift amount over gift date. We'll do this as a bar chart. And then we're going to filter. We're going to do the same filtering that we did before. Relative dates. We will pick the last 4 quarters. So another thing that I'm doing here is the gift date that I'm using here. This is also a calculated field that goes along with our data source that does the date based on the fiscal year. In this particular case, we're doing the fiscal year. If you go under default properties and then fiscal year start, this is based on the data source. But if you have Tableau with us, we automatically calculate your fiscal year based on your data. So this will automatically update. So if you have fiscal year that starts in June or July, for example, this will automatically update to show that. So otherwise, it's January. So if you do have a fiscal year that is different than the calendar year, you'll want to use this gift date fiscal year calculation in order to do that. We'll do the same thing here that we did with gift type earlier. So we'll pull gift type over. And this time we're going to, instead of having all the giving levels represented, we're going to make the giving levels as a filter. Well, let's make this quarter instead. And then we're going to make this be continuous. Change the formatting, make this a little bigger. And then we'll take our gift amount, move it up here in the label so it shows up on here as well. Maybe change this to say gifts or amount. I'll call this amount instead. And then one other thing we can do is add a little color to it. And we'll make this one here the difference, or even the percent difference. So now this shows this block was lower than this one, but this one was higher than the previous one. Okay, we're going to call this one do amount over time. All right, let's make another one. This one, we're going to look at the number of gifts. So same thing here. Actually, let me go back to this one. So these filters, I can apply to multiple worksheets. So I'm going to say apply these to all using this data source. So I don't have to keep adding the same filters over and over again. I'll hide that card, and then I'm going to show these filters. Show, show, show. Let's see, giving level, I'm going to be a slider. So that way what we can do is we can look at all the giving levels, and then we can just bounce through them all here. Like that. Let's make that one a slider. The gift type, we'll do multi-value dropdown, and then the gift date, we'll just leave it as is. All right. So we're basically going to make the same thing over here, but we're going to make it based on, instead of the gift amount, the number of gifts. In order to calculate the number of gifts, we're going to go with the gift ID. I'm going to pull that over. And I'm going to do gift date, same thing up here, by quarter. So for the gift ID, I need to, it's actually putting the IDs in there, so I need to actually do a count. So I'm going to do a count distinct. So just show me the, each gift has its own distinct gift ID. So just show me what is the count of the gifts. We'll do that as a bar as well. Okay. I can actually do a control drag down here to label. So that'll make a copy of it. So it just copies this pill down to here. And then I'll do it again down onto color. And then do the same thing here, change the colors to be, sorry, you colorblind people. We're doing red-green today. And this will make, again, a quick table calculation where we're doing percent difference. Okay. So this one we will call gifts over time. Format here, 14-point font, and edit the access, all this gifts. Cool. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a dashboard out of these, but I need a couple more things on my dashboard for my KPIs themselves.
Looks like we have a question that's popped up here.
Okay. Go ahead and read it.
Why don't you use number of records measured to count the number of gifts?
We could probably do that as well. I see down here the number of records. Should we try to do that? Yeah, that's another way we can do it. So thank you for that comment. We can do number of records as well as the gift ID. So yeah, good job. All right, more KPI stuff. Let's see, we're doing yeah, somebody said that the distinct count of gift IDs does not give you the true gift count because they might be splits. That's true. So if you have split gifts, there's also a split amount down here. So it depends on if you're doing split gifts, you might need to do split amount versus gift amount. So you'll just, depends on your situation, you might need to, experiment with these and see which one better matches how your data is set up. In this case, we're just going to stick with gift amount because I'm using the sample database data. So I'm going to just pull this over here. Again, it copies all of the filters that I have on my other sheet. So it's automatically doing the total based on that. Then I'm going to, let's just format this a little bit. Move it over here to the right. Make it a little bit bigger. And we'll call you amount given. And let's format this guy as well. Make it, say, really big, 24, and bold. And we'll move this over a little. So we make sure we have room in case we have big numbers. Okay. For this one, we will rename this one median gift. Pull my median gift up here. Same drill. Move this over to the right. Make this one bigger. Notice on this one it just shows as a number. It's not showing as a dollar value. That's because on these calculated fields that were part of the data source, we assigned a data type to them, a number format to them. But this one I didn't do that because I just now calculated it, so I need to do that if I want it to show up as currency. So we don't care about pennies, so we'll just say show as currency with no pennies. Yay, there's our median gift. Okay. And then we'll call this one number of gifts. And then we'll do number of records, as someone suggested. Format, make big. Okay. So we have our pieces ready now. We're going to make a dashboard. So in Tableau, a dashboard is a collection of worksheets that you can format and make them interact together. You can organize your worksheets into different groupings, and so I'm going to start with a couple of vertical groupings here first. So these are two side by side, and then what I'm going to do is first pull these ones over to the side. I forgot to format these others. Median gift. I have to move this over to somewhat match what the other size was of the other one. Okay, those kind of match. So these are called containers. So this, again, that lets you group different worksheets together. So I have another container over here that I'm going to do my graphs on. So I'll do one that's the amount, and then I'll do one that's the number of gifts underneath it. I will get rid of the titles. And then it puts my filters over here. It automatically puts them into another container. I'm going to move this container on top of the other containers, though, if I can. So now I've really got 3 containers, one for the filters, up on top, and then my graphs, and then my numbers. So we'll kind of format this a little bit to make it more in thirds. Spread this out a little bit. And then we'll rename this one. Giving level KPIs. Somebody asked, why is the number of gifts not equal to the total sum? Because I used a different calculation and I didn't change it back over here. So I used the count of the gift IDs rather than the number of records. So if I'm going to do the number of records, I guess I need to be consistent and do the number of records. There we go. So yeah, however it is that you're doing things, whether we're doing number of records or the gift ID, just be consistent in terms of how you're doing it. Then of course you'll need to compare with your own data to make sure that it's matching, what you're expecting there. And then one other thing I might want to do is to show a title on the dashboard. I can always edit the title, maybe center it, change the color. Then we can try to move things around a little bit here. This is always the fun part, is the formatting. Don't want to do that. So when you're selecting these different worksheets in here, once you click on it, you can also say select layout container, and then that'll grab the whole container itself. And then you can move them as a group. So maybe something like this. Okay. So a couple of cool things there that we can do is that, so we have giving level again as a filter. So we can just bounce through these different numbers and see, watch the graph update. So people absorb information in different ways. People learn in different ways. So, some people, this kind of view might be more useful, where you're looking at just everything at once, and you're used to looking at things that way. Other people, want to interact with things and be able to see how it changes based on these different, interactions that you have. As well as you can also drill down in here. So we have these set up as quarters, but the user will be able to drill down as well. Let me go back to all the giving levels so you can see this a little more. So they could just drill down to the month on each of these graphs, or whatever, they can just keep drilling down by week, whatever. And so by giving your users a little bit of interactivity within the dashboard, then that allows them to do some exploration and look at things in different ways and whatnot, to maybe look at things in a way that you hadn't expected. Yeah, so that's really the main things I wanted to show you guys today. So some great comments that you had about the gift IDs and the counting the number of records. I like to use the distinct gift IDs, but of course you may need to use split gifts as well. So again, you'll just need to take those things into account, or the gift amounts. Whatever it is that you do, be consistent, and of course double check against your data to make sure that you're pulling the right values over. But yeah, this is a quick way that you can make a simple giving level KPI dashboard for your executives or your users. And if you have Tableau with us, we've made one similar to this that's already been published onto your Tableau sites. You can go in there and check that out. Anybody have any other questions, suggestions, anything? A quiet group today, a very pensive group. Have you incorporated any soft credit gift amounts in your templates? No, we have not. That's something that we'll be covering later on in an upcoming webinar. But yeah, soft credits are kind of a special case, and so I think that it kind of deserves its own webinar just to talk about specifically about soft credits. So yeah, that's another really good question. Yeah, of course, the gift types that we did over here is one example of filtering that you can do, but you can, of course, if you even have gift subtypes in there as well, you can throw that into your filter, and you can just get as granular as you want in terms of that aspect of things. Yeah, the data part of it, in a lot of ways, is the hardest part, to make sure that you're getting the exact data that you want in there. And although at first the Tableau graphing and visualization stuff, may seem like a challenge, once you sort of get the hang of doing that through watching webinars or just learning on your own or taking classes from Tableau, that part starts to come together. But yeah, the data piece, can be a bit of a challenge. Alrighty then, well, if no one else has questions, I'm going to bid you all adieu. We've recorded this session, so we'll be posting the recording up on our YouTube site. And that's all. Thank you so much for joining us today.